What's good, YouTube? Listen, this is the first of many questions I'll answer from the comment section of the video I posted yesterday talking about if you wanted to ask me a question, you could put it in the comment section. So this is number one. Somebody asked, how can I get him to be more open and not afraid to express himself without feeling awkward? Thanks for the question. Okay, so listen, if a guy's not open, it could be for a lot of different reasons. You don't always get to decide how a person processes their feelings or emotions. Sometimes when a guy's not being open, it's because he's already past whatever was bothering him, or what he's been through, or the experience he's had or lived through or survived. He's already put it down and he doesn't want to relive it. So it's not as much as him guarding himself or guarding his past from you, as much as it is him just not wanting to go backwards because it won't offering him anything productive. Sometimes women want to be trusted with a guy's innermost anxieties and secrets, but they can't be trusted with their friends' innermost anxiety and secrets. They're pillow talking, they're backbiting, they're gossiping, and then they come to their man like, you can trust me. No, I can't. Those people can't. Right? A lot of women want to be trusted with that level of access to a man's insides, and they emasculate him as soon as they tell them about anything that he's been through or survived or is bothering him. They start to look at him as if he's weak because they don't see him as the strong man they used to see him as. Sometimes that's the fear of a guy and it's unwarranted, but other times it's the reality of how a woman handles that situation or that information once she decides that she has a problem with you, or you break up with her and she uses that stuff to hurt you. A lot of men don't really have the need or feel the urge to open up and say certain things. So if you're talking about him opening up about his past, about the things he survived, you may never get that level of openness because he might not want to relive any of those things if they're traumatic. If you're talking about a man being open in your relationship, freely communicating, that's a whole nother ballgame. A man should be able to freely communicate with you, but sometimes people lack the communication skills. Some of the women that are asking for these things, this access to a man's mind, aren't actually, again, trustworthy, or they're not good enough communicators that they can't really reciprocate that level of communication that they're asking for from the guy they want. Communication is stunted for so many people. The internet, the texting, all of these digital ways we communicate, we've lost the ability to just talk and tell each other about ourselves. We've lost the ability to connect with our words and eye contact. If you find yourself in a relationship with a man who's shrunk in himself, or a man who refuses to share his emotions, his thoughts, his opinions, his anxieties, his fears, as it pertains to the relationship, it might be a good idea to get counseling. He has some things to overcome. He has some inhibitions he needs to overcome, and he has some trust issues about what he shares with you. Sometimes guys don't open up, guys don't share because they've lost hope in your ability to do something productive with the information. A guy doesn't want to break his woman down for no good reason, and a guy doesn't want to waste his breath saying the same things over and over again. So if a guy's not opening up to you in your relationship, it could be because he doesn't see you as a safe place for that information, or he doesn't believe you're going to do anything or make the changes required or asked for in him communicating. Some women interpret, but they don't listen. You can talk for 5 minutes and a woman will stop listening at the one thing that pissed her off and spend the rest of that 5 minutes listening to the things that she disagrees with so she can come up with some kind of great ironclad defense like a lawyer in court. Then other women just interpret everything you said. They say, so what you're really saying is. So what I'm hearing is. And it'd be some completely different shit. If some women just learn to listen, their partners will actually cooperate and communicate with them a lot better, right? Sometimes men are just saying exactly what they mean. They don't mean something else. They're not trying to get at some other secret realm of information. They said what the hell they meant. And that's a problem with a lot of women, is that they don't hear. They don't listen to understand. They listen to reply, right? So there's so many different ways and so many different reasons for communication being an issue. You could be talking about the openness of a guy with his past experience. You could be talking about the openness of a guy sharing his opinions about you and the relationship. You could be talking about the openness of a guy just having conflict management skills. But all of these boil down to a lack of communication or inhibition. Anxiety around communicating inefficiently or poorly, and or anxiety around the recipient not being able to either help or do anything productive with that information, or that information being mismanaged and used against him. If you want a guy to communicate, if you want a guy to open up, you must first show him that you're trustworthy with information, and that you're trustworthy with his feelings and his anxieties and his fears and his wants and his needs. If you want a guy to open up to you about issues he's overcome in the past, maybe before you were in his life, then you need to show that you are a locked vote. You need to show that you are trustworthy with other people's information because he's observing, he's watching. Don't get caught telling other people's business because he won't share any with you. Not if it is. Over time, if a guy sees that you respect the sanctity of those quiet communications, of those don't tell anybody conversations, then he will start to share things with you. If he seeks to share them, if he's always wanted to tell someone. Some guys don't want to ever tell someone anything. Some guys will die with their experiences being silent. That's just how they are. If your issue is a guy not opening up as a relationship communication thing, maybe not talking through the problems, maybe shutting down when there's disagreements, then he has conflict management issues. Communication around being able to trust that the recipient of the information is going to do something to help the situation and not just be harmed by his issue. So many women want a man to tell them how they feel. And then when he finally tells them, all she can do is victimize herself about his feelings. So now he's hurt her and he still hasn't gotten any resolution to the shit that he had an issue with because she's made it about her. Some women are narcissistic victims. Everything that happens, everything that a man feels is against her and about her. He can't just have his feelings and have her do anything about it. He can't just have his feelings and keep his peace. He has to share, and then once he shares, she's judging his feelings and defending herself against his feelings when that's his reality, whether or not she finds it valid. There is an issue to be solved, and instead of working on that issue and being solution-oriented, she's just offended that he has an issue with this particular thing. A lot of times, if you can't be trusted with information, whether it is to do something about it or just keep the secrets that you want to be told to you, a guy won't talk to you. So sometimes the better question isn't, what's the secret you're not telling me? The better question is, why aren't you telling me this? Why don't you trust me? Have I done anything to make you think that I can't handle this information, or that I won't manage this information well, or that it will fall on deaf ears? How can we get back to a place where we can communicate freely without mistrust? I'm afraid of the mistrust that I'm seeing in you not sharing this information, and I don't want to make it about me. I really need to know what you need from me to feel more comfortable. What do I need to do to prove to you or to show you or to evolve into a place to where we can grow and we can communicate a lot more freely and openly? That's a solution if you're in a long-term relationship and you've been with your partner where communication has staggered or stagnated. If you're new to a guy, it's going to take time. It's going to take trust. He may or may not share his past with you, but he should be learning that he can trust you with information that he shares with you about issues in your relationships, about conflicts that he's having in a relationship. That should be something that happens sooner than later. But as soon as he starts to learn that if I complain, if I say something, if I bring up something that bothers me, she won't do anything about it. She'll just get emotional. She'll get offended. We'll have a fight back and forth. And then the same shit will be a problem tomorrow. He'll ultimately learn not to talk to you about anything and just keep his complaints and opinions to himself until he gets tired, until he decides to walk away. One of the issues here is we all come from different backgrounds. We don't know what kind of toxic environment he came from, that his concerns were not listened to, that his concerns were not considered. We don't know if he learned through other relationships that he shouldn't say anything when he has a problem. We don't learn if he learned through other people that he loved or were supposed to love him, that if he had a complaint, no one would actually care. Right? We don't know what people have been through, and so we try to attach our experience and our understanding to their experience, and that's not always the thing that's going to work. So what you need to do is try to figure out what's behind him not sharing. Not try to get the secret, but get the reason behind him keeping the secret or the information or whatever it might be. Sometimes people need counseling, straight up. Sometimes people need to learn how to communicate with each other, and that will take a person to mediate or to help you through that. Sometimes a couple needs a relationship coach or a marriage counselor or some kind of couples counselor. Other times an individual needs to go to counseling by themselves to sift through some of that darker stuff that they don't want to just bring out on somebody who's not equipped to help them through it. But whatever he's challenged by, you need to show that you're trustworthy, that you can be trusted to do the right things with the information, keep the information and manage it properly and correctly. Respect the sanctity of whatever he's sharing with you, and also not victimize yourself with whatever he has to share with you that you need to know that's pertinent to your relationship. If a guy finally does open up to you, it cannot be about, how dare you say that? I'm offended that you think that. Why did you say such a thing? So what you're really saying is, none of that shit can be there. All you're supposed to do is receive the information and then figure out the best way to move with that information. Sometimes the best thing to do with that information is to say, okay, so now you've told me. What would you like me to do with that information? What can I do to help this? What would you want of me? What would you want from me from this point? As you've given me that information, what would you have me do with that information? What could help us past this? Those are better questions than how dare you say that? I can't believe you feel that way, blah, blah, blah. So again, I guess the short answer to your question is show that you are trustworthy to either do something about it or manage the information well. But that doesn't change the fact that he might not be the type of person that wants to share that information at all, or that he needs to manage his mental health in such a way that he needs to go see a professional to sift through some of that stuff before he dumps it on you, who's not a mental health counselor probably, and doesn't know what to do about that or help him sift through it. Anyway, I hope that helps. Follow me at KVic24 on Instagram. I'll get with y'all later.